So, if you're working with data on Google Cloud, you've definitely run into this problem. Which tool do you use for your big batch processing jobs? It can get confusing, right? Well, today, we're going to demystify that whole choice. We'll break down three of GCP's heavyweights: Dataflow, Dataproc, and Cloud Functions, so you can find the absolute perfect fit for your next project. I want you to picture this for a second. It's midnight. Everyone's gone home, but your data is on the move. There's a critical job running right now, getting all of today's sales data ready for tomorrow's big reports. But what happens if that job fails? Well, the entire business feels it the next morning. The stakes are incredibly high, and getting this right isn't just nice, it's absolutely crucial. So let's get really specific with that problem. We've got raw sales data, and it's landing in cloud storage. Our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to pull that data out, clean it up, transform it into a nice usable format, and then load it into BigQuery where our analysts can work their magic. This is the classic data dance: extract, transform, load. You know it as ETL. Now, Google Cloud gives you this amazing toolbox to solve exactly this kind of challenge. And today, we're going to pull out three of the most common tools for the job. But here's the key. Don't think of them as competitors. Instead, think of them as specialized instruments, each one perfectly designed for a different kind of work. And here's the thing. Even though they all have totally different ways of doing things, they all share one single goal: to give you a powerful, super reliable way to get your data from point A to point B, completely prepped and ready for analysis. First up is Dataflow. Honestly, I like to think of this as the smart, serverless power tool in your kit. It's fully managed, which is just a fancy way of saying you write your logic in SQL, Python, or Java, and Google worries about everything else. The servers, the scaling, the parallelism, that's all handled for you. It is built from the ground up for those heavy-duty, really complex jobs at a massive scale. Next, we have Dataproc. Now, if Dataflow is a single, powerful tool, Dataproc is like having the entire customizable workshop at your fingertips. It's a managed service specifically for running open-source giants like Apache Spark and Hadoop. This is your go-to if your team is already fluent in Spark, or maybe you're lifting and shifting existing Hadoop jobs and you need that fine-grained, hands-on control over your environment. And finally, we've got Cloud Functions and its container-loving cousin, Cloud Run. These are your precision screwdrivers. Just like Dataflow, they're serverless, which is awesome, but they're really designed for much smaller, event-driven tasks. You know, like transforming a single file the very instant it lands in a bucket, not grinding through terabytes of historical data. They are fast, they are simple, and they're just perfect for those lightweight jobs. All right, so we've met the contenders. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty. We're going to put them side by side and see where each one really truly shines. And just remember, there is no single best tool here. It's all about finding the right tool for your specific job. Okay, looking at this chart, the trade-offs get really clear really fast. You can see Dataflow is your serverless hero for complex, massive ETL. Dataproc, that's your managed cluster, perfect for teams that already live and breathe Spark. And Cloud Functions, also serverless, but for those much simpler event-triggered tasks. But the real kicker, the key difference, is that bottom row, control. With Dataflow and Functions, you're trading that granular control for the ability to just focus on your business logic. With Dataproc, you get to keep all that control, so you can fine-tune your cluster to your heart's content. So, with all that in mind, how do you actually make the call? I know, it can seem a little overwhelming, but it's not as scary as it sounds. It really just boils down to answering three simple questions. Let's walk through that framework right now. First, you gotta look at your team. What skills do they really have? I mean, do they dream in Apache Spark? Then Dataproc is probably a no-brainer. Are they more comfortable with standard SQL or Python? Dataflow is going to feel like home. Second, what's the scale and complexity of your data? If you're just doing a simple file-by-file conversion, a Cloud Function is perfect. But if you're dealing with terabytes of interconnected data that need complex joins and aggregations, that has Dataflow written all over it. And third, what level of control do you really want? Do you want to obsess over optimizing a Spark configuration, or would you rather just write your code and trust Google to run it for you? When you strip it all away, your choice really comes down to this one core trade-off. On one side, you have serverless abstraction with Dataflow and Functions. This lets you focus purely on your business logic and just move faster. On the other side, you've got managed control with Dataproc, which gives you the power to leverage very specific skills and totally customize your environment. Neither one is better than the other. They just solve for very different needs. Okay, before we wrap this up, I want to let you in on a little secret. This is a crucial concept that separates the fragile, amateur data pipelines from the professional, truly robust ones. Getting this one thing right will save you so many headaches, I promise, no matter which tool you end up choosing.
And that secret concept is idempotency. Now, it's a fancy word for a really simple but incredibly powerful idea. An idempotent job is one you can run over and over and over again, and it will produce the exact same result after that first successful run. So what does that mean? It means if your nightly job fails at 3 a.m. for some random reason, you can just rerun it without ever worrying about creating duplicate data or any other nasty side effects.
This is your ultimate safety net. Seriously. When you design your jobs to be idempotent, you can be fearless about failures. A little network hiccup or a temporary bug doesn't become a 5-alarm fire that requires manual data cleanup. It ensures your outcomes are always consistent and makes recovering from an error a simple, automated process, not an all-hands-on-deck emergency. So, what's the bottom line here? The key takeaway is this: there is no single best tool. The right choice is always a direct reflection of your project's reality. You need to choose the one that best fits your team's skills, the scale of your data, and the level of control you really want to maintain. So I'm going to leave you with this one last thought. Your data pipelines, they are the digital backbone of your business. They feed every report, every dashboard, and every single strategic decision. So you have to ask yourself, is that backbone built to be resilient and self-healing, or is it a single point of failure just waiting to break?